Hello everyone, it's David from Automotive Press. Guess what? I have the all-new 2024 Tacoma with the iForce Max hybrid engine. This is the one you've been waiting for because it's a top-of-line engine with plenty of power and torque. Very impressive package. In fact, I'm in love with the 2024 Tacoma that has the new hybrid engine with a 2.4 turbo. I'm so impressed that I am convinced that the 2024 Tacoma is the best Tacoma ever. In fact, let me give you 10 reasons why I believe the 2024 Tacoma, especially with the hybrid engine, is better than the 2023 model. Let's go. Welcome back. So why do I think the 2024 Tacoma is much better than 2023? Well, there are many reasons. First one is the manufacturing quality. As you guys know, the Tacoma was originally built in Texas alongside Tundra, and when the new model came, they eventually moved down to Mexico. It's now built in two Mexican plants that have been producing Tacoma for a while. And you know what? The 2024 version is the best manufactured Tacoma I've ever seen so far. Why? Because of the gaps, the panel alignment, the paint quality, everything looks quite a bit better than 2023. So I'll do my usual check here and look for the gaps, and it's only about 3.5 millimeter here, 3 millimeter over here. Now this is a pre-production model, so it's not full production model yet. About 3.9 millimeter, and if I keep on going here, 3.5 and also 3.8 millimeters. So if I remember correctly, the 2023 Tacoma I had and I measured was about between 4 to 4.3 millimeters, so the gap's a little bit tighter. But more than that, the actual quality of the panel finish, the panel alignment, and the basic body structure looks fantastic. I think it's better built from a manufacturing perspective, and even the paint job looks much better too. So that's my first reason why I believe the 2024 is better than 2023. So the body panel and alignment looks really good. The gaps looks fantastic for a truck. What about the paint quality? Well, that's my point number two. And I think they've changed some of the paint manufacturing process. And I can tell you, based on my engineering experience, that the paint quality overall for new Tacoma is definitely better than 2023. You can see there's a lot less orange peel. Usually the earlier Tacomas tends to suffer from excessive orange peel, but this one is very minimal. This is the black paint, so it's a little hard to see the orange peel anyway, but you can see the reflection of various objects and environment. And paint looks fantastic, especially the TRD Pro and the Trail Hunter models I was reviewing earlier. They all have a really good paint job. Now, I will admit that the paint thickness has gotten a little bit thinner over the years. That's because they have a newer technology that allows for thinner paint that is just as durable or just as tough as before. So not to worry too much, but I know that the paint thickness is around 100 microns from my earlier test. But overall, I'm super happy with the paint quality. So the exterior manufacturing quality, I think, is first rate and definitely better than 2023. So now I'm on the road with a 2024 Toyota Tacoma Hybrid. This is a limited version. And you know what? This is when things really shine. On the road, there's no question that the 2024 Tacoma drives better than the 2023. Specifically, what I'm talking about is the steering feel and the steering accuracy. I think most of you guys know that I've owned many different versions of Tacoma before. I've owned a 2017, a 2019, and a 2021 TRD Pros and TRD Sports and so forth. So I'm very familiar with the previous generation Tacoma, and they were a great truck, but on-road performance and feel wasn't the strength of the previous gen Tacoma. It just never felt very stable on the highway, and especially around twisty corners. But this one here, the 2024, is a really agile for a truck. It's very stable, it's comfortable, but like I said, the steering effort is the biggest difference. Now keep in mind that this is electric power steering now and not hydraulic anymore, so we don't have the same kind of weight or the feel that the hydraulic power steering offers, but they did a pretty good job of compromising to make sure that you still get a decent steering feel and a steering response. And even though the steering feels lighter, it doesn't feel so bad. You don't feel disconnected from a road. You still have a pretty good connection between the road and your hands. So I think the steering feel is definitely improved. I like it a lot better. It's more agile. It's not as heavy. Yes, that's a bit of a downside, but once you get to enjoy driving the Tacoma on a winding road, you realize the steering is definitely better. And the fourth point needs no introduction, and that is this engine right here, the iForce Max with a 326 horsepower, 465 pound-foot of torque. It's enormous power and torque for a mid-size truck, and that is a highlight of all the new Tacoma that has this iForce Max engine. The base engine is actually quite good and peppy, and most of us who really love the V6 power Tacoma would say that we missed the V6 engine, but would also agree that the 2.4 turbo simply performs better even in the base format without the hybrid. With this hybrid system, it's a game changer. So much power and torque at a very low RPM because it's turbocharged, and also with the hybrid system, if I step on it like this, it just takes off. Granted, it's not like a sports car feel, but the actual pullback feel that you get when you step on the gas and it kind of pushes against your seat, that kind of feel never existed in the previous Tacoma that had the 3.5 V6 engine, even though that engine was proven and reliable and we like the relaxed feel of a V6. You can't beat a 2.4 turbo with hybrid, with a full turbocharger built in. It is just simply spectacular for a mid-sized truck. So the engine is definitely the biggest highlight of the 2024 Tacoma, especially if you choose the iForce Max hybrid version. The fifth point is about automatic transmission, which is 8-speed now, thankfully. And you can tell I'm kind of driving and the transmission is shifting, and you know what? You can't even tell it's shifting. I'll bet you can't even hear the shifting. Whereas previously the transmission on the Tacoma was its weak point. It didn't feel quite right. Sometimes it's hunting the gears. It doesn't seem to know which gear it's supposed to be in, and it was awkward. They did improve it toward the end with a better calibration, but again, you cannot compare to the state-of-the-art 8-speed automatic transmission in this vehicle, which has a fantastic shifting, very smooth. You can barely tell that it is shifting at all, and I think that is definitely a huge improvement compared to the previous gen Tacoma. So the engine is great, transmission is great, and then finally, in terms of on-road performance, what's also important is the ride. That's something that wasn't a strength of the previous gen Tacoma as well, because it tends to be a little bit bumpy. Although I didn't mind it, it felt very truck-like. This one retains the truck feel, but is much more comfortable. It's smoother, refined. Passengers won't feel too jittery because it's not too bumpy. And even though I'm driving through some very twisty roads right now, like on canyon roads, look how stable it is. So for the passengers and also for the driver, there's no comparison. If I wanted to drive a truck a couple thousand miles through some California coast, I wouldn't dare doing that in the previous gen Tacoma. It just wouldn't be comfortable, and it would be not unstable, but it would be a lot less stable than this one here. This one stays flat, it corners well, and the ride is fantastic for a truck. I'm really glad they made all these changes. Obviously, on the TRD Pro and Trail Hunter, with a different suspension, it will feel even more different than this one here, which is a limited model. But the limited model is designed for a best on-road performance. So I would assume that this one has the smoothest ride, and it certainly does have a very refined ride. The seventh point is kind of related to the previous one, and that is the fact that this is very quiet. When you step on the gas, you hear the engine noise a bit. Part of it is piped through the speaker, but part of it is just the real engine noise. Because it's a 4-cylinder, it's going to be a little bit louder than the V6 engine in many circumstances. But overall, this thing is quiet. It's like as quiet as any other normal SUV. This is a pickup truck, and yet you're still getting a very quiet ride. So I think the passengers appreciate it. I was just in the passenger side earlier, and you know what? It just feels like a really high-end luxury small SUV, to be honest, because it's so smooth and quiet. The eighth point is braking. We finally have disc brakes all around, and the feel is sensational compared to 2023. I mean, the 2023 performed fine, but because it had rear drum brakes, it just cannot match the performance with disc brakes all around. I can't do a full braking test here, but if I step on the brake a little bit here like this, wow, smooth stop, great pedal effort, good feedback. It's definitely the best braking system we've had on Tacoma, just because the older version was truly outdated. So everything to do with the driving character of this vehicle, the steering, the engine, transmission, braking, just fantastic. And I absolutely loved the iForce Max engine because of the power delivery, the torque delivery, and you still get great fuel efficiency. The ninth point is that the new Tacoma is much more capable as an off-road truck as well. Even though the previous gen Tacoma was already really good off-roader, and I've taken the previous gen Tacoma to some really rough roads before. Mine was a 2021 Tacoma TRD Pro in Lunar Rock. And to be honest, I shouldn't have sold that one. But anyhow, this one here has even more capability because you can also get manual stabilizer disconnect, which means you can manually disconnect the stabilizer bar, allowing the wheels to turn a lot more in terms of articulation and allow the tires to stay as much as possible planted on the actual road surfaces. So that's something that was never offered before on a Tacoma, and it is a new feature on some of the models. Not on this one here because this is a limited model designed for more of an upscale feature, but the other models, TRD Pro, Trail Hunter, TRD Off-Road, all have a stabilizer disconnect. And if you are a serious off-roader, that's a welcome feature. The 10th and the final point is the fact that the new Tacoma has so much more features and technology. Not only are the safety features all improved and updated to Safety Sense 3.0, you get a full digital cluster here, 12.3 inches, and you get a 14-inch huge infotainment system, which is super fast, responsive, and easy to use. I really like the big screen here, and it makes the whole system so much faster and easier to use. We still get real buttons and knobs for temperature, big knobs, and then also buttons for a variety of different controls. And you get a large knob for the radio control as well. And also we get a proper shifter, not one of those push button types. And we have, like I said, all kinds of off-road features. On this particular one, this is a limited models. This is a full-time all-wheel drive. We still get the different drive mode, but on the other models that's dedicated for off-roading, you get all kinds of things like a crawl control, as well as a multi-terrain view, just to name some of the technology features that are not available on the 2024 Tacoma. So there are many, many technology improvements on the new Tacoma, but on this particular limited model, I love the fact that we have a retractable running board that comes out automatically and also retracts automatically. I love this system because it's so much easier to get in and out. It is only available on the limited, but along with many other tech features, I think in terms of what you get for the money is hugely improved because you have things that you can never get before in 2023. So in conclusion, what can I say? Well, first of all, the all new generation 2024 Tacoma is better in every respect than the 2023. I know some of us missed the hydraulic power steering, and some of us still wish that there was a V6 engine. But to be honest, if you drive the 2024 Tacoma either in the base format or like this one with a hybrid, you're going to be convinced very quickly that you're not going to lose anything by going from 23 to 24. In fact, you're going to gain a lot more. I pointed out 10 things that are much better than 2023. And more importantly, you're going to fall in love with this version because it still feels like a Tacoma. There's no question that Tacoma DNA is not compromised. It still feels like a truck, but now it feels like a refined, much more capable truck with a beautiful engine, an impressive engine for that matter if it's a hybrid system, and the steering feel and steering characteristic and handling that is second to none in the truck market. I think this one is the best handling mid-size truck compared to any other trucks out there, and it is a very stable around the corner. As you can tell, I'm going through some really twisty road and stays very flat. So it's surprisingly entertaining to drive. It's quiet and comfortable for passengers. And then when you step on the gas, well, it just takes off. So I can't recommend the 2024 Tacoma enough. And if you don't mind paying a little bit more, definitely do buy the iForce Max. And you know what? You don't have to wait to try to get TRD Pro or Trail Hunter. If you're using this truck mostly for on-the-road vehicle as a daily driver, buy the Limited. It's actually a beautiful vehicle with lots of tech features that you don't get in some other Tacomas, or even the lower priced TRD Sport. They're all beautiful vehicles. I think the new gen Tacoma is the best Tacoma ever, and I would actually say it is the best mid-size truck in the market. If you enjoyed my video, please make some comments and give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't done yet, would you kindly subscribe as well. Until next video, I'm signing off for now. Thank you so much.